The British royals have posed for a new formal photograph. Of course, your eye is drawn to the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton. You notice there, she's the only splash of color in this picture. But take a close look at her.
At first, it appeared to be nothing more than another glittering evening in the long history of Buckingham Palace, the kind of carefully choreographed royal occasion that unfolds with practiced precision. Yet behind the diamonds, the diplomatic smiles, and the centuries-old traditions, a very different story was beginning to take shape. As questions swirled around a historic tiara, palace loyalties, and the future image of the monarchy itself, many royal watchers began asking the same question. Was this simply a misunderstanding, or had a much larger struggle quietly emerged behind palace walls? The British royal family has always understood that symbols matter just as much as speeches. Long before a member of the royal family utters a single word in public, every detail has already been studied, planned, and carefully considered. The choice of a venue, the order of arrival, the placement of guests, and especially the jewelry worn by senior royals can all carry significance that extends far beyond appearance. Within royal circles, symbolism is often interpreted as a language of its own. That reality helps explain why so much attention was directed toward preparations for a major state occasion held at Buckingham Palace. The event itself was intended to showcase stability, continuity, and confidence. International guests would be present. Cameras from around the world would be focused on every movement. For King Charles III, the occasion represented another opportunity to reinforce the image of a monarchy adapting to a new era while preserving centuries of tradition. Yet while the public anticipated a seamless display of royal unity, reports and speculation surrounding one particular piece of jewelry soon began generating intense discussion among palace observers. At the center of that discussion stood Queen Camilla and Catherine, Princess of Wales, two women whose positions within the royal family have been shaped by very different journeys and very different public perceptions. For Queen Camilla, the challenge has always involved legitimacy in the eyes of the public. Even after becoming queen alongside King Charles III, commentators continued debating her place within the modern monarchy. For Catherine, Princess of Wales, the challenge has often been the opposite. Over the years, Catherine has become one of the most popular members of the royal family, with many supporters viewing Catherine, Princess of Wales, as a symbol of continuity and stability for the institution's future. Can you already see why even a seemingly minor decision could suddenly become much more significant? Because in royal life, an object is rarely just an object. A tiara is never simply jewelry. A photograph is never simply a photograph. And a public appearance is rarely only a public appearance. According to various reports and royal commentators, discussion began building around which senior royal would wear one of the most recognizable pieces associated with royal tradition. Whether those reports accurately reflected internal palace conversations remains unclear. However, the reaction they generated revealed something fascinating about how the public views the modern monarchy. Many observers immediately interpreted the issue as a symbolic question rather than a fashion question. Who represents continuity? Who represents authority? Who represents the future? And perhaps most importantly, who represents the image the monarchy wishes to project to the world? Those questions became even more interesting because of the central figures involved. Queen Camilla occupies a unique position within the institution. As the wife of King Charles III, Queen Camilla stands at the heart of the monarchy's present leadership. Yet Catherine, Princess of Wales, occupies a different but equally powerful role. As the wife of Prince William, the future king, Catherine represents what many view as the next chapter of the royal family. That distinction matters. One royal figure symbolizes the current reign. The other symbolizes the future. And whenever those two realities appear side by side, public attention naturally intensifies. Meanwhile, Prince William continued carrying out royal duties while maintaining the steady public image that has increasingly defined his role within the royal household. Over recent years, Prince William has gradually taken on greater visibility as discussions about the future direction of the monarchy have grown. Many royal analysts believe Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, now represent one of the institution's most important assets, particularly among younger generations and international audiences. But that growing influence raises another question. How does an institution built on hierarchy manage multiple centers of public attention at the same time? Because popularity and authority are not always identical things. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes they do not. And when they do not, fascinating tensions can emerge beneath the surface. As anticipation surrounding the state event continued to grow, palace watchers found themselves paying attention to details that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. Every appearance, every photograph, and every symbolic gesture was being examined for clues about the evolving balance within the royal family. What many people did not realize, however, was that the conversation was no longer only about a tiara, a gala, or a single evening inside Buckingham Palace. The discussion was gradually becoming something much larger. It was becoming a conversation about legacy, about succession, about influence, and about which figures may ultimately define the monarchy's future image in the decades ahead. And as the event drew closer, another development would emerge that made those questions even harder to ignore. As speculation surrounding the gala continued to spread among royal commentators, attention gradually shifted away from the jewelry itself and towards something far more consequential. The real question was no longer whether a particular tiara would appear at a state event. The real question was why so many observers seemed convinced that the issue carried implications for the future image of the monarchy. After all, if this were merely a matter of fashion, why were palace watchers, royal correspondents, and longtime followers of the royal family discussing it with such unusual intensity? Part of the answer lies in the unique position occupied by Catherine, Princess of Wales. Over the past decade, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has evolved from a young royal bride into one of the most influential public figures within the institution. What makes that transformation remarkable is that Catherine, Princess of Wales, achieved it without dramatic speeches, public confrontations, or attempts to dominate headlines. Instead, Catherine, Princess of Wales, built credibility through consistency, discipline, and an ability to navigate intense scrutiny without appearing overwhelmed by it. That reputation has become one of the monarchy's most valuable assets, especially during periods when public confidence in institutions can no longer be taken for granted. Yet this is where the story becomes considerably more complicated. While Catherine, Princess of Wales, represents continuity for many supporters of the monarchy, Queen Camilla represents a different chapter of royal history, one shaped by decades of public debate, personal controversy, and eventual acceptance. Royal historians often point out that Queen Camilla's journey into the center of royal life was among the most challenging transitions modern royal observers have witnessed. Because of that history, some commentators believe Queen Camilla remains acutely aware of symbolism, public perception, and the subtle signals that influence how legitimacy is viewed within royal circles. Could that explain why every reported disagreement surrounding ceremonial traditions immediately attracts attention? Could it explain why even minor decisions sometimes become magnified into something much larger than they initially appear? Those questions became increasingly difficult to ignore as preparations for the state occasion entered their final stages. Inside Buckingham Palace, every department was focused on presenting an image of flawless organization. Diplomatic staff coordinated schedules down to the minute. Security teams reviewed procedures repeatedly. Protocol experts monitored seating arrangements and ceremonial details. The objective was straightforward: ensure that international guests witnessed a monarchy operating with complete confidence and absolute stability. However, stability is often easiest to project when nobody is questioning it. The moment public curiosity begins searching for signs of tension, every photograph starts receiving additional scrutiny. Every interaction becomes a subject of analysis. Every smile is examined for meaning. Royal commentators know this pattern well because it has appeared repeatedly throughout modern royal history, from periods involving King Charles III and Princess Diana to more recent discussions surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. That historical context created another fascinating dynamic surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Prince William, the future king. Unlike previous generations, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, operate in an environment where every image can be distributed globally within seconds. A single photograph can generate millions of impressions before Buckingham Palace releases an official statement. As a result, perception often moves faster than explanation. The monarchy understands this reality better than almost anyone, which is why symbolism has become even more important rather than less important in the digital era. But something else was happening beneath the surface. As discussion intensified, many royal analysts began focusing less on Queen Camilla and more on Prince William. Why? Because Prince William increasingly represents the bridge between the monarchy's present and its future. Every public appearance involving Prince William now carries an additional layer of significance. Observers are no longer evaluating Prince William solely as the Prince of Wales. Increasingly, observers are evaluating Prince William as a future sovereign. That shift changes everything. Every alliance matters more. Every gesture matters more. Every public partnership matters more. And perhaps no partnership receives greater attention than the relationship between Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Royal experts frequently note that the strength of that partnership contributes significantly to public confidence in the future of the institution. Whenever Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, appear together, audiences often see not only a royal couple but a preview of what the monarchy could look like in the decades ahead. Whether that perception is entirely fair is open to debate, yet the perception itself remains undeniably powerful. So imagine the challenge facing Buckingham Palace. How does Buckingham Palace celebrate the authority of King Charles III while simultaneously acknowledging public fascination with Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales? How does Buckingham Palace balance present leadership with future leadership? And can any institution successfully manage that balance without occasionally creating misunderstandings about priorities, influence, or symbolism? Those questions became even more intriguing because the public was not the only audience paying attention. International leaders were watching. Foreign diplomats were watching. Media organizations across multiple continents were watching. In moments like these, royal events become more than domestic ceremonies. Royal events become demonstrations of institutional confidence. Every detail contributes to the broader narrative that the monarchy wishes to communicate to the world. Yet some royal commentators argue that the very existence of these debates reveals something deeper. According to those observers, discussions about jewelry, protocol, and ceremonial symbolism are often stand-ins for larger conversations about succession, influence, and the future direction of the royal family. In that interpretation, the object itself is never the real story. The real story is what people believe the object represents. And if that interpretation contains even a small measure of truth, then another question immediately emerges. Was the growing public fascination with Catherine, Princess of Wales, simply a reflection of popularity, or was it evidence that many people were already looking beyond the current reign and imagining what comes next? That question would become even more significant after new observations from the event itself began generating fresh discussion among royal watchers, because what happened once the cameras finally started rolling added an entirely new dimension to the conversation. Before we continue, if you enjoy thoughtful royal analysis, historical context, and in-depth discussions about the royal family, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss future coverage. Because the developments that followed did not reduce the speculation surrounding Buckingham Palace. If anything, those developments made the mystery even harder to ignore. What happened when the cameras finally began capturing the evening may have seemed routine to casual viewers watching from home, yet for experienced royal observers, several moments immediately stood out. Not because anyone made a dramatic announcement, not because Buckingham Palace released an unexpected statement, and certainly not because there was any visible sign of conflict. Instead, attention focused on something much more subtle, something the royal family has understood for generations. Where attention naturally flows often reveals more than official explanations ever can. As guests arrive beneath the glittering chandeliers of Buckingham Palace, photographers position themselves for what was expected to be another carefully managed display of royal diplomacy. International dignitaries move through receiving lines. Members of the royal household carried out rehearsed responsibilities with practiced precision. King Charles III remained the constitutional centerpiece of the evening, exactly as protocol demanded. Yet despite the significance of King Charles III's role, many headlines generated after the event seemed increasingly drawn toward Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Prince William, the future king. Why does that matter? Because attention is one of the most valuable currencies within modern public life. And unlike titles, attention cannot simply be assigned. Attention must be earned. Over the years, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has developed a remarkable ability to command attention without appearing to seek it. Royal commentators frequently note that Kate Middleton rarely attempts to dominate an event, yet somehow emerges as one of the most discussed figures afterward. That pattern has repeated itself often enough that many analysts no longer view it as coincidence. Instead, many observers see it as evidence of a carefully cultivated public reputation built on consistency rather than spectacle. What makes this even more fascinating is that Catherine, Princess of Wales, operates within an institution that traditionally values restraint above self-promotion. In many areas of modern celebrity culture, visibility is achieved through constant exposure. The Princess of Wales has largely followed the opposite model. Catherine, Princess of Wales, often speaks less than public figures of comparable influence, yet public interest in Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues to remain remarkably strong. Could that difference explain why so many discussions eventually return to Catherine, Princess of Wales, regardless of the original subject? Could it explain why conversations that begin with ceremonial traditions often evolve into conversations about the future queen? Those questions became increasingly relevant as images from the event circulated across international media outlets. While King Charles III remained the reigning monarch and Queen Camilla remained an important figure within the institution, much of the public discussion focused on what Catherine, Princess of Wales, represented symbolically. Supporters viewed Catherine, Princess of Wales, as an embodiment of stability during a period of significant transition for the monarchy. Critics of that interpretation argue that media organizations sometimes project expectations onto Catherine, Princess of Wales, that no individual could realistically fulfill. Yet regardless of which interpretation proves more accurate, the existence of that debate reveals something important. People are not simply watching royal events. People are trying to understand where the institution is heading. And that brings us to another intriguing development. Throughout modern royal history, succession has always influenced public perception long before succession actually occurs. The public often begins imagining future eras years, or even decades before they arrive. During Queen Elizabeth II's reign, discussions about King Charles III emerged long before King Charles III ascended the throne. Today, discussions about Prince William frequently emerge, even while King Charles III remains firmly established as monarch. That reality places Prince William in an extraordinarily unusual position. Prince William, the future king, must simultaneously support the current reign while preparing for responsibilities that may define an entirely different era of royal history. And where does Catherine, Princess of Wales, fit within that equation? For many royal watchers, Catherine, Princess of Wales, represents an essential component of Prince William's future vision. The partnership between Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, has become one of the strongest public assets available to the monarchy. Whenever Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, appear together, commentators frequently describe the pair as embodying continuity, professionalism, and a sense of calm that many supporters find reassuring. But here is where another question begins to emerge. What happens when popularity creates expectations? Because expectations can become a burden as easily as they become an advantage. The more the public views Catherine, Princess of Wales, as a symbol of the monarchy's future, the greater the scrutiny directed toward every decision, every appearance, and every perceived signal coming from Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace alike. That scrutiny has only intensified following previous periods of turbulence involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Whether supporters or critics discuss Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, one reality remains undeniable. The departure of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle fundamentally altered public conversations surrounding the royal family. Suddenly, questions about unity, loyalty, institutional priorities, and future leadership became much more prominent than they had been previously. As a result, every major royal appearance now exists within a larger narrative. Observers are not merely evaluating a single event. Observers are evaluating the institution itself. Observers are evaluating its resilience. Observers are evaluating its future. And perhaps most importantly, observers are evaluating whether the monarchy continues to possess the adaptability required to remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. That broader context explains why even seemingly ordinary moments from the state occasion attracted such extensive analysis. Every photograph featuring Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, was interpreted through multiple lenses. Some saw confidence, others saw preparation. Still others saw evidence that public attention may already be gravitating toward the next generation of leadership. But was that really what was happening? Or were commentators simply projecting their own expectations onto a carefully managed royal event? That question remains difficult to answer definitively, which is precisely why the discussion continues. Meanwhile, another layer of the story was beginning to attract attention behind the scenes. As public fascination focused on symbolism, succession, and image, some royal analysts started examining a different issue altogether. Rather than asking who attracted the most attention during the event, those analysts began asking a much more revealing question. Who actually benefits when certain narratives dominate public conversation? Because in the world of royal institutions, perception and influence do not always travel together. Sometimes the person attracting headlines is not the person shaping outcomes. Sometimes the most important developments occur far away from the cameras. And according to several royal commentators, the next stage of a story may have far less to do with ceremony and far more to do with the long-term balance of influence inside the modern monarchy. Before we continue, if you enjoy thoughtful royal documentaries, detailed royal analysis, and deep dives into the evolving relationships shaping the royal family, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss future episodes. Because the developments that followed this event shifted the conversation away from symbolism and directly toward one of the most sensitive subjects facing Buckingham Palace today: who truly influences the future direction of the monarchy, and how much of that influence remains hidden from public view. The deeper royal commentators examined the aftermath of the event, the more one particular question seemed to dominate the conversation. Not who wore what, not who received the most photographs, not even which member of the royal family generated the most headlines. Instead, attention increasingly shifted toward something far more significant for the long-term future of the monarchy: influence. Because influence inside a royal institution is rarely measured by public visibility alone. Some of the most important decisions shaping the future of the monarchy are often made far away from cameras, far away from official ceremonies, and far away from the carefully managed images presented to the public. That reality is precisely why many royal analysts began looking beyond the immediate event and examining the broader patterns surrounding Prince William, the future king, and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Over recent years, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, have gradually become central figures in discussions about the monarchy's next chapter. While King Charles III remains firmly committed to carrying out the responsibilities of the crown, there is no escaping the fact that public curiosity about the future continues to grow. Every appearance by Prince William seems to attract questions about future leadership. Every appearance by Catherine, Princess of Wales, seems to generate discussion about the future queen. But here is where the situation becomes genuinely fascinating. Unlike political leaders, royal figures do not campaign for public support in the traditional sense. Prince William cannot simply announce a platform for the future monarchy. Catherine, Princess of Wales, cannot openly promote a vision for the institution decades before such responsibilities formally arrive. Instead, influence is accumulated through trust, consistency, and reputation over time. In many ways, reputation becomes the most valuable form of royal capital. Could that explain why Catherine, Princess of Wales, attracts such intense attention whenever questions of symbolism emerge? Could it explain why commentators continue debating seemingly small moments months after they occur? Because for many observers, the discussion is never truly about a single event. The discussion is about what the event may reveal regarding the monarchy's direction. As those conversations expanded, another interesting pattern began emerging. Royal experts frequently pointed out that Catherine, Princess of Wales, possesses something increasingly rare in modern public life: broad cross-generational appeal. Supporters of King Charles III often admire Catherine, Princess of Wales. Younger audiences frequently respond positively to Catherine, Princess of Wales. International observers often identify Catherine, Princess of Wales, as one of the most recognizable faces associated with the British monarchy. That kind of appeal creates opportunities, but it also creates pressure. The more symbolic importance attached to Catherine, Princess of Wales, the more carefully every appearance must be managed. The more attention Catherine, Princess of Wales, receives, the greater the expectations become. And expectations can sometimes become more difficult to navigate than criticism itself. Meanwhile, Prince William faced a challenge entirely different in nature but equally important in consequence. Prince William, the future king, must balance loyalty to King Charles III with preparation for responsibilities that will eventually define an entirely new royal era. Royal historians often note that successful successions are rarely built in a single moment. Successful successions are built gradually through years of preparation, public trust, and institutional continuity. That observation raises another important question. What exactly does continuity look like in the 21st century? The monarchy that Prince William may one day inherit is dramatically different from the monarchy Queen Elizabeth II inherited. Public expectations have changed. Media ecosystems have changed. International attention operates differently. Social media has transformed the speed at which narratives spread across the world. Every royal household now faces challenges that previous generations could never have imagined. And yet, despite all those changes, certain themes continue appearing again and again. Duty, legacy, stability, public service. Those themes remain central because they form the foundation of how the institution presents itself. However, another development was quietly influencing public perceptions at the same time. The continuing presence of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, remained part of the broader conversation surrounding the future of the royal family. Whether one supports Prince Harry and Meghan Markle or disagrees with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the impact of the Sussex departure continues to shape public discussions about the monarchy. Questions about unity, modernization, family relationships, and institutional priorities have become impossible to separate from conversations about the future. For Buckingham Palace, that creates a uniquely delicate balancing act. The institution must preserve continuity while demonstrating adaptability. The institution must respect tradition while remaining relevant. The institution must project unity even when public narratives frequently emphasize division. And perhaps most importantly, the institution must ensure that future leadership is viewed as credible long before that leadership formally arrives. This is why some analysts believe the growing prominence of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, represents more than simple popularity. According to those observers, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, increasingly function as symbols of strategic stability. Whether appearing at charitable engagements, international events, or community initiatives, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, often project a sense of calm professionalism that aligns closely with the monarchy's preferred image. Yet another question soon emerged. Is public enthusiasm for Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, entirely beneficial for the institution? At first glance, the answer appears obvious. Strong public support would seem advantageous. Positive media coverage would seem helpful. Growing international recognition would seem valuable. But royal history teaches a more complicated lesson. Whenever a particular figure becomes exceptionally popular, comparisons inevitably follow. Commentators begin evaluating one generation against another. Public expectations shift. Media narratives evolve. The focus gradually moves from present realities toward future possibilities. And once that process begins, controlling the conversation becomes increasingly difficult. That may explain why Buckingham Palace often appears cautious when managing narratives involving succession, symbolism, and public perception. The institution understands that popularity can strengthen the monarchy, but the institution also understands that expectations must remain realistic. No individual, regardless of popularity, can single-handedly resolve every challenge facing a centuries-old institution. Still, the growing attention surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Prince William cannot simply be ignored. If anything, the conversations generated by this event demonstrated just how eager many people are to understand what comes next. And that is where the story takes another unexpected turn. Because while commentators continued debating influence, symbolism, and succession, a different interpretation began gaining traction among some royal observers. Rather than focusing on individual personalities, those observers began asking whether the entire discussion revealed something larger about the monarchy itself. Was this really a story about specific royal figures? Or was this actually a story about an institution attempting to navigate one of the most significant transitional periods in modern royal history? Before we explore that final question, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more in-depth royal documentaries, analysis, and discussions about the royal family. Because the final piece of the story may be the most revealing of all, and it challenges many of the assumptions that have shaped public perceptions from the very beginning. And this is where the story reaches its most intriguing point, because after examining the expanding role of Catherine, Princess of Wales, the increasing responsibilities of Prince William, the future king, and the continuing health challenges facing King Charles III, one question still refuses to disappear. Is the royal family simply planning responsibly for the future, or are these developments signaling that the future is already being quietly organized behind palace walls? The truth is that two very different interpretations now exist. The first interpretation is the more cautious one. According to many constitutional experts, everything we have discussed can be explained through normal royal planning. King Charles III remains monarch. Buckingham Palace continues to operate as expected. Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are naturally receiving greater responsibilities because that is exactly what happens as heirs move closer to their eventual roles. Under this interpretation, the reports surrounding royal symbols, historic jewels, and expanding authority do not represent an immediate transition. Instead, they represent sensible preparation for a future that may still be years away. But there is a second interpretation that continues attracting attention among royal watchers. According to some commentators, the pace of recent developments appears unusually significant. King Charles III continues undergoing treatment. Prince William increasingly represents the crown during major engagements. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has become one of the most trusted and visible figures within the royal family. Historic privileges have expanded. Symbolic responsibilities have grown. Public appearances increasingly place Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, at the center of the monarchy's public image. When viewed together, some observers believe these developments resemble preparation not for a distant future, but for a future that Buckingham Palace may want to be ready for at any moment. So what do you think? Are royal observers reading too much into routine succession planning, or do the actions of King Charles III suggest that important groundwork is already being laid behind the scenes? What makes this debate especially fascinating is that both interpretations can point to the same facts while reaching very different conclusions. That is often how royal mysteries work. The monarchy rarely explains every decision in real time. Instead, meaning is often discovered only years later, when historians look back and connect events that once seemed unrelated. And perhaps that is exactly why the story of Catherine, Princess of Wales, has captured so much attention. Not because Catherine, Princess of Wales, suddenly appeared at the center of royal life. Not because Kate Middleton unexpectedly became one of the institution's most trusted figures, but because the journey itself now appears remarkably consistent. Looking back, there are signs that Catherine, Princess of Wales, was gradually being prepared for greater responsibility for many years. The patience, the discipline, the careful public image, the growing visibility at major state occasions, the trust shown by senior members of the royal family. Each development may have seemed ordinary at the time. Together, however, those developments tell a much larger story. A story about preparation, a story about continuity, and perhaps a story about the next chapter of the monarchy. What remains impossible to know with certainty is exactly when that next chapter will begin. Only King Charles III, Buckingham Palace, and a small circle of senior advisors truly understand the full picture. Publicly, the message remains clear. King Charles III continues serving as monarch. Prince William continues supporting the crown. Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues carrying out royal duties. Those are the confirmed facts. Yet the questions remain. Why has Catherine, Princess of Wales, become such a central figure at this particular moment? Why do reports about royal responsibilities continue generating such intense discussion? And why do so many royal observers believe the future queen is already assuming a role far larger than many people realize? Those questions may not have definitive answers today, but they will undoubtedly shape conversations about the royal family for years to come. And now we would love to hear your perspective. Do you believe King Charles III is simply making responsible preparations for the future of the monarchy? Or do you believe the growing prominence of Prince William, the future king, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, points to a larger transition already taking shape behind the scenes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because this is one of the most fascinating royal debates unfolding today, and your opinion could add an entirely new perspective to the conversation. If you enjoyed this deep dive documentary into the royal family, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest royal analysis, royal history investigations, and behind-the-scenes stories from Buckingham Palace. Thank you for watching, and remember, in the world of royalty, the most important clues are often not found in official announcements, but in the quiet decisions that seem ordinary at first glance and only reveal their true significance much later. Until next time, keep watching, keep questioning, and keep exploring the stories behind the crown.